I am on a journey towards discovering higher versions of myself. And just like every journey, it gets pretty lonely sometimes. This is why I've made it a goal to bring as many people as I can on this personal development journey towards higher versions of themselves, towards achieving that dream life, towards fulfilling your purpose, towards being all that you can be. No more mediocrity, no more playing it small. I am Judith Bengo, and this is the JM Show.
Mercy is a child of God, a writer, and a second year molecular biology PhD student studying pancreatic islet biology. She loves to cook, laugh, and eat, and thinks about purpose and why she is on earth quite a lot. She has two siblings, loves her family so much, and has her roots deep in Rivers State, Nigeria. Mercy, it is a huge privilege to have you here on the show today. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Thank you so much for having me here. Like, it is such an honor. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Mercy, in case you guys don't know, Mercy is my sister from another mother. I'm so grateful for how we met. I'm so grateful for the gift of church because we met in church. So I'm so grateful for that. I'm so grateful for how we met. And I am so glad that she's on the show today. I cannot wait for you guys to benefit from all our awesomeness.
Wow.
So first things first, I must say that I am so proud of you, Mercy. Like when I first heard that you were getting a PhD, no, when I heard you were going to school abroad, I did not really know the real details of it. But now finding out that you were getting a PhD, I was like, wow, how is that even possible? Like without getting a master's first. I never actually knew that was possible. And it goes further to buttress the fact that you cannot achieve something unless you're aware that it exists and unless you believe it is possible and master the principles that it operates on.
Yeah.
Can you please give my audience a brief summary of how that process was like for you? Like getting to discover that and then finally achieving it. Do not go into deep details, just like a brief overview of how that was for you.
Okay. Thank you. So the thing is, I always had a notch for teaching. I always knew that I wanted to be in academia. And with being in academia, that means that you need to get a PhD. I mean, for you to teach in a university, it means you need to get a PhD. So there were two ways. I could do a master's and then do a PhD. That's the normal way almost everybody does it. But I knew a couple of people who were in PhD programs without getting a master's. So just like being around those people helped me realize that it was possible. And then there were certain requirements, like your CGPA, like research experience, and all of that. So I tried to align myself so that I could meet those requirements, so that I would be able to apply and like have a very good application, because I've met the requirements. So I guess it's just knowledge. It was really just being around the right people, getting to have the right knowledge and running with it. So yeah.
Wow, I really liked where you talked about having knowledge about it because if you do not have, like, if you're not aware something exists, then achieving it is like off your books. So I really like that you talked about having knowledge that it actually did exist and going for it. So I read your article on the Medium and it is amazing.
Wow.
It is
Thank
amazing. That article
you.
had a lot of salient points in it. The very second paragraph was what really got my attention. I'll read it. It says, it is 6 a.m. and my ever reliable alarm rings with the very same prompt it has shown me for almost 2 years now. PhD awaits you. This paragraph shows a lot of intentionality. I mean, for 2 years, you had like the same
Yeah.
alarm. Can you please tell my audience how the principle of
Mhm.
intentionality has had a huge impact in your life?
Wow. Okay, so here's the thing. There are actually a few things I have
Mm-hmm.
been very intentional about, and that was one of them. I think that there's this whole thing of trying to register what you want in your subconscious. I think it's very, very important. It's just this whole thing of wanting to align your thoughts. There are different ways your mind gets information, and one way is by what you see and by what you read. Me doing that was just me prepping my mind up and like
Amazing.
trying to remind myself that this is really what I want. So you can do an alarm like I did, you can do like sticky
Hmm.
notes and all of that, but we all know that we are almost always with our phones, so our phones are like um that thing where you're always looking at. So I really wanted to remind myself of this goal, that even in my subconscious, even when I'm not really actively thinking about it, it's registered that this is what I wanted. So yeah, that was why I did that. And yeah, I think it was actually very helpful just in aligning my mind for what was my goal at the time.
Yeah. Amazing. I mean, see the results that it brought. So really, really amazing. I feel that we should all be intentional about goals and dreams that we want to achieve. But I have a question
Yeah.
following that. What kept you going for 2 years? I mean, people would have given up. 2 years is a long time to wait for something. So what kept you going? What what was that thing that kept bringing you back to focus? Like useful tips you can share on that.
Honestly, the truth is that everybody who knows me knows that I am not like I'm not the most tenacious person in this world. That's just the truth. So even like you saying it now, Seth, is very funny. But the truth is, I think that, so I'm a Christian, right? So I think that it was really so much of me knowing that this was the next right step for me. Like I was almost 100% sure that this was the next right step for me, and also just planting myself around people who were going towards the same goal. So yes, I gave up actually along the line. I gave up a number of times. I gave up a number of times, but I think that God just wanted this to happen because he kept reminding me, he kept bringing more people my way that were going on the same path. So it was just easier for me to say, wow, okay, I need to get back. I think I gave up a number of times, like even when I was trying to do exams for my application and all of that, it wasn't the easiest thing. So I think that it was number one, God; number two, being around the right set of people; and number three, learning to just rise up like whenever I fell, because I did fall a lot. So yeah.
First and first, I like when you talked about people, the gift of people. I feel like we undermine that principle. We
Yeah.
undermine the intensity that a right with relationship can bring to your life. Like
Mm-hmm.
you have people always rooting for you. There are times when the truth is that most of us actually we feel weak sometimes. There are times that you
Yeah.
just need people to pull you up. There are times you just need people to say, "Oh, I got you. Oh, this thing you wanted to do, how are you doing it?" Or this, or you need people that share the same dream with you, and you're like, we are doing this together, we will not give up. I think we should not undermine that space, that relationship space. So I'm really glad that you shared on how that helped you a lot. So you I asked for principles you've adopted that's really made a huge difference in your life, and you talked about planning to achieve your goal but also preparing yourself to rise up again when you fall or
Yeah.
fail. That is powerful. That is powerful. I feel that that mindset. So I want to ask first, did you have you always had that mindset, or was it something you picked along the way? Like how did you come about it?
So the truth is, I have not always. I mean, I used to be the person that once I fall, I'll just be like, "Oh, I bet let's move on. This life is only one." Like I used to just
I'm
be
telling you.
that person
Or
that
plenty on that table.
exactly. I'll just be like, "See, I can't even kill myself. Like, let's just be going." But I think that over the years, also because of my, we all need to study our personalities. There are people who are very driven that once they start, they never stop, they just keep going. But there are some of us who we lose our motivation from time to time. So, like, let's say you have like a goal, maybe you're trying to start a new habit or whatever, and like you're supposed to do it for 30 days so that it becomes part of you. And maybe by day 10, you're like, I beg, I can't do it again. So, I'm that kind of person who, like, by day 10 will probably not do again. But I needed to tell myself that the fact that I missed one day does not mean I have to now cancel everything and just stop. Because at the end of the day, the point is not so that I can say for the past 30 days I was successful in this. No. The point is so that I can say I have been able to form this habit. And if it takes me falling and rising to form the habit, then it's okay. So that's what I try to tell myself. And even with like applications, even with life generally, I had to get to the point where I needed to learn myself. I needed to know that, see, I am weak. I'm not the most motivated person, but I want to be able to stand up again. I like I actually sometimes I actually when I make plans, I actually like tell myself that, okay, you are really not going to do this thing at a stretch. Really, let's just be honest. But when you fall, when there's an issue, what will you do the next day? And that's how I achieve anything, really. That's how I achieve anything. Is this whole thing of, when I fall, okay, am I going to just stay there or am I going to stand up? And yeah, it's been very, very helpful. It's been good. It's something I've learned by trial and failure. It's something I'm still learning.
Amazing. I don't know who puts unnecessary pressure on us. I don't know if it's society. I don't know if it's people who are looking at, or maybe it's people who don't show their flaws, and we just feel like, okay, if I fail once at this thing, then my life is over. Like,
Mm-mm.
I mean, no, it doesn't work that way. People have made terrible mistakes. There's someone I even look up to so much, Naomi. I look up to her so much, and where
Yeah.
she's coming from, I don't know if you know her. Do you know Naomi Osemudia?
Oh no,
Like,
I
I was
don't.
like, she's so amazing. She
Hmm.
eloped with someone at 22. She had two
Wow.
children. She didn't get married. She had two children with that person. Then she left the wrong relationship at 30, got married again at 35,
Hmm.
became a conference speaker. This woman has done TEDx talk. I'm not even joking.
Wow.
She
Wow.
has given a
Wow.
TED talk rather. She has given a
Wow.
TED talk. She she left that relationship, started finding herself back. Now she has two other children in a new relationship. Like, she's married now, she's happy,
Mm-hmm.
and she's goals for a lot of people. And she shares that, and I'm like, this is so inspiring. It's
Yeah.
unlike the whole thing that you feel like, okay, once I fail once, my life is over. If she had
Mm-mm.
given up, I would not be talking about her today on this podcast.
Exactly.
I would not
Mm-hmm.
even mention her name. So I feel like, I don't know, sometimes we just have to let ourselves breathe. Actually,
Yeah.
people
Mm-hmm.
fail. People
Yes.
try things like 1 million times, and it's now the next
Mm-hmm.
time that they get it. So, and it's totally okay. It's totally
Exactly.
okay, so long
Yeah.
as you actually know that you're. So thank you so much for sharing that. Why go on and on? So yeah, talked in your article also. You talked about the whole process. It was not a very easy one. It was not a very easy one for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to there might be someone who is listening to this and also want to take like a similar path that you've taken. I mean, getting to school outside the country.
Mm-hmm.
So what advice can you give to that person? Something that can help. It might not even be about the whole application and all that, but something useful that the person can hold on to when embarking on this journey.
Hmm. Yeah, okay. I think that apart from, of course, doing your research, knowing what you want to do and the right school and all of those beautiful things, I think that very importantly, you need to know your why. And I think sometimes when people say know your why, it gives some people headache, because some people will now go and sit down and say, what's my why? God, what is my why? And then exactly. And then it makes everything stressful. But that's not what I'm saying. Like, okay, so for me, for instance, my why was, I want to be in academia. This is my next right step. That was my why. For another person, their why could be they want knowledge. For another person, their why, I mean, there a whole see, honestly, for some other people to their why is that they want to leave Nigeria. I'm not saying that's the best why, but that's another person's why too. So yeah, you need to know your why and hold on to your why, because applications are stressful. I can't explain the stress you will go through just to fill one application, especially if you're doing the exam. it is super stressful. So if you don't have a concrete why, you will easily give up and not like just stop the entire process. So I think that it is very, very important to know your why and have a support system. See, I can't say this enough. Have a support system. Have people that are doing the same thing you're doing, people that have done what you're doing. It is the most amazing gift that you can ever have. We are not meant to be islands. We're not meant to be alone. That's not how life was
Mm-hmm.
created. So you need to have people. It is very, very important. Yeah.
I agree.
Do not live in isolation. Honestly, that I think even there's
Yeah.
one thing the devil tries to do to us. It will just
Mm-mm.
isolate you and make you
At
feel like you
all.
are the only one, you are the only person here. And when you're weak, it just becomes too much. It
Exactly.
becomes overbearing
Mm-hmm.
because you feel like, okay, there's
Mm-hmm.
no other person that can understand what I am doing. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. Like
Exactly.
wisdom, wisdom. If you're listening to this and you want to take this part, make sure you
Mm-hmm.
hold this tight, like hold it to your chest. It is a lot. Yeah. So, first things first.
Yeah.
I want to ask, like, what obstacles have you faced so far? Like, looking at your journey, not just the application now. This is based on what things you're comfortable to share on the podcast today. So, what
Mhm.
obstacles have you really faced so far? And how did you handle them? And how best can they be handled? Like your whole journey schooling outside Nigeria.
Okay, okay, this is a very good question, Judith. So the thing is, I think my major obstacle has been feeling it's just insecurity. I mean, feeling like you are not good enough, feeling like every other person is better than you. It is very, very real. It's imposter syndrome. Almost every graduate student goes through it, but I think that you go through it more when you're an international student, like generally. And personally, I've had a history of insecurity before I even left Nigeria. I've had that whole doubt and Lord, am I enough? And blah blah blah. Am I doing this well enough? And then just to come into like a new environment, it even just amplified that a little bit. So that has definitely been a big thing. So for me, for instance, I'm the only black girl in my department. Um, we're just two black people in my department and I am the only black girl. So it's this whole thing of I mean there's a lot that goes into transitioning, like leaving your country. So for me it was this whole thing of in our mind in Nigeria we already feel like white people know, like most of us subconsciously feel like white people know everything, and then you come and somehow you may just feel a little bit small compared to them. But of course it's something that I'm dealing with because I'm a Christian. Honestly, God has been faithful. He has helped me through all of these things. So me, I had to remind myself that I didn't bring myself there, that God actually sent me. So like I have a wristband that says sent. That's something I remind myself of. I always tell myself that God sent me, that I am advantaged. I have the Holy Spirit. Like those are the kind of things that I tell myself, and that is what helps me because you need to come to the point where you realize that the fact that you are from another country or you're a foreigner does not mean that you are any less. Does not mean that and honestly, by the time you start doing classes and you start pulling your own weight, you find out that you're actually not bad at all. So yeah, that was a big thing. It was this imposter syndrome that I dealt with. It was not easy at all. It's still like gets to me sometimes, but I always remind myself that God sent me, that I am not here by myself, that God knows why I'm here and all of that. So yeah, that's the big one.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. Like it was very detailed, and it being something you're still dealing with. I know what it
Yeah.
took to share that. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Mhm.
So I want to ask, what do you do for personal development? Anything. It could be listening to a message, it could be just something that helps your mindset. What do you do?
Okay, so I listen to podcasts, but I guess I would not say I listen. I guess I will not say I listen to like so many motivational podcasts per se, but I listen to faith podcasts a lot. I listen to messages. Shout out to my pastor, our pastor. I
Yeah.
listen to a lot of pastors' messages. I try to read books, but honestly, I'm not the best at that. Instead, I try to listen to books. I'm better with listening than actual reading. And then I have a lot of friends that are wise. Honestly, that like I guess it's probably going to shock so many people, but that is where I get most of my wisdom. I have so many wise friends, and sometimes I can just have a conversation for 1 hour, and I can see that my mind is just in a better place just by having that conversation. So I keep so many wise people around me. So yeah, I mean, sometimes it's not even deliberate. It's just that they are sure wise and they're around.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. You know, there's a thing of who you are attracts like other
Yeah, I
people to
guess.
you. So you're a wise person. I know you might not want to agree with me, but you're a wise person. So definitely your friends, you cannot even build a sustainable relationship with someone who doesn't carry that much wisdom. Not maybe not up to yours, but there's a certain level of wisdom that the other person has to have that to be like, okay, fine, we can have this profitable
Yeah.
relationship. So I totally understand what you're saying. And being surrounded by wise people, good friends that are motivating you and all that. Meanwhile, shout out to all the friends that keep motivating us
Yes,
to do
yes,
better.
yes, yes,
All the
yes.
wise friends we have around us, like they are really, really
Amazing.
amazing people. And I would encourage anyone, get people around you who would motivate you, people who would cheer you up, people who would lift you up when you're down, like things like that. So thank you so much for
Yeah.
sharing that. So we have come to the end of this
Oh.
interview, and I don't want you to go,
Honestly,
but
yeah.
you have to go. So, yeah. So please, can you please tell us where we can find you? Like, where can we connect with all your awesomeness?
Okay.
Maybe not all, a little bit.
Okay, yeah. First again,
Yeah.
thank you, Judith. Thank you, Judith. I was a bit nervous doing this, but you are so easy to talk to. I think I forgot
Oh,
how easy you are to
wow.
talk to. So I like all the nervousness went
Yes,
away.
Messi, I miss you.
So thank you. Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Messi double underscore Max. Instagram at Messi double underscore Max.
Yes,
I post a lot of blog like content there. You can also
I was going to say that.
you can also find me.
Like amazing content. Read the
Yeah,
caption.
read the caption, very important. You
Read the caption. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
you can also find me on Twitter. Twitter, I mean, you can't post long stuff, but I post a lot of grad school content on Twitter too. So Twitter is at Ibiagbani. Sorry, there are two different handles, but at Ibiagbani, that is at IBIAGBANI. So that's it.
All the details will be in the show notes. So all you have to do is read the description of this podcast and you'll find how to connect with Messi. And you should connect with her. On Instagram, like Messi is one of the people that when they post, I will just sit down there. Okay, let me read the caption. What's she saying this time? What amazing wisdom can I get? So
Oh,
please, guys, do not miss out on that. All right, Messi, it was so nice having you on the show today. Thank you so much. We've learned
it
a
was
lot.
so
We should do
nice.
this some other time.
You
Yeah.
honestly, I enjoyed this more than I thought I will. So thank
Yay!
you.
All right.
Congratulations, we're making significant progress on this journey already. Remember the journey I spoke about earlier? We are one step ahead right now. Please do not forget to share this podcast with a friend and leave a review on Apple Podcasts for us. I'm sure that by now you've subscribed to the show, but if you haven't, do so now. You can follow the conversation on Instagram at thejm.show. We want to hear from you. We want to know what your nuggets were from this episode. You can also send in your questions via email or via voice notes. We would appreciate your support to keep the show going. So do well to make a donation. All the details will be in the show notes. Till next time, keep living.